Are you thinking of moving to Seattle, but are there just some things that you don't know about the city? Well, stay tuned. This video, I'm going to talk about things that you don't know about Seattle. What's up, everybody? My name is Tova Williamson. I am a local real estate agent, and on this channel, I shoot tons of videos of what it's like to live in the Seattle metro area. So if those are videos you want more of, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the bell. You'll be notified every time a new video comes on. We get reach outs all the time from people moving to the area. We love hearing from you and we love helping, but we can't help unless you call. So give us a call, email, text. We got your back when you're moving to Seattle. So today on this video, I am going to talk about some of the things that you may not know about Seattle. So Seattle's known for a lot of things, rainy weather, good coffee, a lot of breweries, certain things like that. But there's some like lesser known facts that you may not know. So it's kind of like a fun little tidbit information. So here we go, 10 things you don't know about Seattle. Number one is there is no state income tax in Washington. So when you're filing taxes every year, you don't have to file a state return, which is pretty great. I like just having to do the federal one. However, we do have other taxes that, I mean, honestly, kind of make up for it. The sales tax here is pretty high. It's about 10.25% in Seattle proper. So that's going to get you, I mean, that's a pretty high sales tax rate. Some of the other cities, like neighboring municipalities, have slightly lower tax rates. It's still going to be in like the 9 to 9.5%. So not a ton cheaper, but it's definitely a high sales tax rate, especially when we border Oregon State, which has no sales tax. So sometimes people might go to Oregon to purchase some of those bigger ticket items to avoid paying that 10% sales tax. So just something to keep in mind, no state income tax, but we do have a higher sales tax rate. Another thing too, though, to keep in mind is, yes, the sales tax is high, but groceries, raw groceries like fruit, veggies, just things that are not prepared are not taxed. So you're not going to pay sales tax on those items, which helps a little bit. Things like alcohol and marijuana are taxed very high, though. So if those are two things that you partake in, they will be taxed at a much higher rate than the 10%. I think that's like 30 something percent. So just something to keep in mind. No sales state income tax, but sales tax and other things might, kind of even it out in a way. So number one is no income tax. Number two thing that you may not know about Seattle is the summers here are absolutely amazing. We get a bad reputation for rain, clouds all the time, but the summers here are just beautiful and amazing. 70-degree, 80-degree weather, not too hot. There's so much outdoor stuff, so much greenery. There's lakes and so much outdoor activities to do there during the summer. It's just such a perfect place to be. I know so many people that live here and they're like, oh, summer vacation comes around. Like, I don't want to leave. This is where I want to be. You want to go vacation in the winter when it's like cloudy and bad. But otherwise, the summers here are just absolutely amazing. It's kind of like that little secret that Seattleites are like, oh, don't tell people because, we want them to think there's like this reputation for rain all the time, but it's actually really great here in the summer. Granted, sometimes the summer may not start until like mid-July, but once it kicks in, we do have beautiful, amazing summers. Right now, what is it? It's August of 2023. It's going to be like 80 degrees, I think, is the high today. It's absolutely beautiful. Other parts of the country are experiencing these like major crazy heat waves. We've been just having absolutely beautiful weather. Like, we have not had to experience that so far this summer. I think it's supposed to get hotter in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. But sometimes we do get these heat waves of like 90s and it's just absolutely miserable. People here don't have AC. Usually some do. But when it does get hot, it can be really rough. But otherwise, the summers here are just beautiful. And another thing to note too, during the summer, since we are like further up north, it's daylight until like 10 o'clock. It gets light at like 4 in the morning and then it gets dark at like 10 o'clock at night. So we just have so much daylight too. It just lets you kind of just really enjoy the summer to the fullest because it's light all day long. So something, if you're moving from somewhere like further south, where it doesn't get as light as early, it might be a surprise, but the summers here are just amazing and sunny and light and beautiful. So number three thing that you may not know about Seattle is it's really hilly. You look at maps and everything just looks flat and you're like, oh yeah, I can walk from here to here, point A to B. But what you don't realize is there's like probably a massive hill, and our hills are like very, very steep. So something people may not realize about this area is there are a lot of hills. There's a lot of neighborhoods that are named after hills. There's like Beacon Hill, Capitol Hill, Queen Anne is on a huge hill. There's First Hill. So there's just a lot of really, really hilly areas. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture. I was hoping there might be a good hill in the picture, but there's not. But it's very, very hilly. So just something to keep in mind, especially if you're like a big bike rider and you're like, oh yeah, I'll commute by bike and ride my bike. That's great. And you can absolutely do that. There's a huge biking community here, but it's very, very hilly. So you're going to really work those thighs and calves riding your bike because it's just super, super hilly. So something to keep in mind. But when it does snow here in the winter, which is rare, but it does, those hills make amazing sledding hills. Nobody can drive up them and you just sled and have fun. So something that's just a fun little tidbit is it's very hilly. Another number four thing that you may not know about Seattle is the roads are very, very narrow here. Like all of the city streets and in the neighborhoods, all of the neighborhood roads are really narrow. Like you have parking on each side, and then only one car can fit down the road at a time. So when you're driving, you see a car coming up, it's like, oh, who's going to pull over first? Where can I pull over? You have to like pull over, let them by, or they let you. So it's just something that people don't always realize. Also, when you're looking at maps, is these roads are tiny. If you're in traffic and traffic's bad and you're like, oh, I'm going to get off this main road and go take the back streets, like it's not always better because the roads are tiny and you have to pull over and wait, and there's roundabouts, and some of the roads are cobblestone and they're bumpy. And so it's just something that people don't always know about the area, especially when looking at a map, but the roads are very, very tiny. And if you're moving from like another larger metropolitan area that has huge, massive roads, it might be a shock to you because these roads are. Number four thing that you may not know about Seattle is the original downtown Seattle, which is known as Pioneer Square. That's kind of like the original old town part of downtown Seattle. Is actually the original downtown is actually underground. The town originally was built up down there in Pioneer Square. There was the Great Fire of 1889 that basically burnt like the whole downtown. And instead of like demolishing everything and rebuilding, they just went up a level and rebuilt everything up above that. So in Pioneer Square in like the downtown part of Seattle, there's actually this underground area that you can take tours of. They have tours for tourists and stuff to go to. So it's kind of just this weird, I don't know, fun little tidbit of the original old downtown Seattle is actually down a level. And sometimes if you're in Pioneer Square, the sidewalks, they have like these glass little, I don't know, little decorative glass things in the sidewalk, and sometimes they break out and you can like look down the hole and just see like this whole like abandoned city down below. It's kind of creepy and weird, but it's just a fun little fact too for Seattle. So if you're visiting from out of town, you want to check out those underground tours, are really cool. If you have people coming from out of town, it's a fun little thing to do. Number six thing that you may not know about Seattle is Seattleites are really into their sunglasses. They actually buy more sunglasses per capita than any other city, which is kind of funny because we get so much rain here. Like you wouldn't think that people would need sunglasses. And maybe that's why we like sunglasses, because we don't get to wear them as much. And so we like want to have so many, but it is true. I mean, I do own a lot of sunglasses. I will be honest. I don't wear them all, but I do own quite a few pairs. So Seattleites buy more sunglasses than anyone. And I will say, like, even when it is rainy and you think that it's really gray and gloomy and you don't need sunglasses, sometimes even when it's cloudy, it's like bright still. And then the light shining off of the white clouds, or like after it rains and if the sun comes out a little bit, it can be kind of bright. So I think that people in Seattle, you definitely have like your bright sunny day sunglasses, and then you have your like rainy day sunglasses too, because you do need those sunglasses that are not super, super dark, but kind of dark, but enough to cut that glare. So maybe that's why people buy so many, is because you have like different shades that you need throughout the year. So Seattleites buy a lot of sunglasses. If you're into sunglasses, then I guess Seattle's going to be a great place for you. Number seven thing that you may not know about Seattle is it is considered the most well-educated city. So they did a study at some point and they found that over 50% of people age 24 and older had a 4-year degree from a university. So more than any other city, I guess, in the country, is Seattle's got a lot of degrees. People here are highly educated. So something to keep in mind too, if you're job hunting here, I think the pool for prospective employees might be a little bit higher. It might be a little bit more competitive when you're looking for a job, just because there is that higher rate of degrees here, I guess. So a little fun tidbit there. Number 8 thing that you may not know about Seattle is it has abundant parks. Like Seattle's very into parks. People here love the outdoors. That's no secret, but we have so many parks. There's 489 parks throughout the city and over 6,400 acres. So every neighborhood has a park in it or multiple parks. There's huge parks that have big walking trails and biking trails, have beaches. You can just roam all around. There's some parks that are just like literally little plots of grass in a neighborhood with a bench on it for a viewpoint. There's a lot of dog parks in the area. There's parks with athletic fields, a lot of playgrounds. So there's tons of parks here and people really love their parks. So something that when you're moving here and if you're into outdoors, there's tons of parks. And that's something I tell people too, if they're looking into maybe buying a condo versus a single family home. You know, a condo, you may not have a yard, but there's almost always going to be a park at least, you know, within a few miles of you. If you're living in a condo or some place that doesn't have a huge yard, there's always going to be somewhere that you can go to kind of get that green area out. The number 9 thing that you may not know about Seattle is it's a very dog-friendly city. So if you're moving here, you have dogs, you love dogs, great. A lot of people have dogs. There's a bunch of dog-friendly restaurants. There's like, even it's not dog, but I think there's a few cat cafes in the city. There's, like I said, there's a ton of dog parks in the city. Even the regular city parks, you'll see signs that say like no dogs allowed in the city parks or they have to be on a leash, but everybody just brings their dogs and nobody really seems to care. So a lot of dogs here. They did according to the last census, there's more dogs here than children in the city of Seattle, which is kind of funny. So there's 153,000 dogs in the city and only 107,000 kids. So people here definitely have prioritized dogs, I guess, over having kids. So, or they might have kids and then more dogs too. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's a funny little fact that people are very, very into their dogs. So if you're into dogs, it's a really dog-friendly area. And the number 10 thing that you didn't know about Seattle is it's a very casual city with like casual dress attire. A lot of people, I think people move here from other areas that are maybe a little bit more formal or dressy. And it's just not like that in Seattle. It's very laid back. People wear, you know, flannels and hoodies and sneakers and like rain gear, hiking boots. It's just a very, very laid back dress area. I don't even know what to call it, but I mean, you'll go to the ballet or some play or like even a fancy restaurant for dinner and you'll still see people in like a hoodie and sneakers. So just something like to think about, to be prepared for. Moving here doesn't mean you can't dress up, like you absolutely will, but you will probably never be underdressed when you go here because there's always going to be someone like that's even more relaxed and dressed than you are. So just something to keep in mind moving here. It's really, really casual dress. Not to say that you can't dress up, but just be prepared for that. So there you have it. Those are the 10 things that you don't know about Seattle. Hopefully they were things you didn't know. If there's anything else, share them in the comments. And if you're moving to the Seattle area, give us a call, email, text. We've got your back when you're moving to Seattle.